Morning, everyone. Well, by what you can see on my counter and my recipe, I'm going to be making my Pinquito beans, canning Pinquito beans. I have about 2 pints left. The only thing it calls for is ground cumin, red chili flakes, and garlic salt. You can put whatever you want in yours if you've made these before or if you like other things. But mine call for that, and it calls for chopped onion, which I have not got out of the freezer yet. So I'm going to be making 9 pints. So here's the recipe right here. I'm also going to put the recipe in the comment section on the bottom of the video. So I don't put a full, never ever ever fill your jar with pinto beans because these aren't cooked. And what happens when pinto beans get wet or full of water? They swell. So you will not like the outcome. I put in about a half a jar. That's it. That is totally it. So let me get some stuff together and I'll be right back. Okay, so first of all, I got these onions yesterday in the dumpster. They were beautiful. I made 6 bags like this. So I just take a scoop, get out a few. If you don't like onions in your beans, don't put onions in your beans. It's not that big of a deal to stick to a recipe. And I know people, they say, well, it's really cheap to buy, store-bought canned beans. Yeah, it is. But don't you want to know what's in those beans? Don't you want to know where your spices and, the things that you like? So if you've never done this before, your biggest expense right now at this point is going to be a pressure canner. But it pays for itself, trust me. Okay, so I have onions in all the jars, okay? Now the spices, they only call for 1/8 of a teaspoon, okay? You can put more or less if you like. You can put different things in there that you like, but it calls for each jar. This is the easiest stinking recipe. I go through a lot of cumin. Okay, so I've got the cumin, the garlic salt. If you want to add pepper, if you want to add a shot of Tabasco, do whatever you want to do the way you like your beans, okay? The most important thing is being self-sufficient and making it yourself. Nobody knows how to do that anymore. And now the chili flakes. Once in a while I make a mistake and I put, too many red chili flakes and it's too spicy for me. I don't even like pepper. So anything above the black pepper stage, it's too hot for me. But I love these beans. They're my favorite beans to make. Okay, so now we're going to put in the beans. I didn't wash these. That was my mistake. Okay, sorry about that. We were interrupted by a phone call. As I was saying, I don't like to put a lot of beans in because it will overflow. So I only do, and I eyeball it. I don't have any measurements. I like to keep it below a half. And I did not wash those beans. Now I also make these with the black bean. I prefer the black bean. So when these are all done, you can just take them out of the jar, put them in a pan, you heat them up, and you can even use your potato masher and mash them all up for refried beans. But we like to eat them just right out of, just put them in the pan and eat them, you know, warm them up. So, and I know a lot of people that have the food card, you know, that have the food stamps, and people that get WIC, you can get the free beans. So this is a lovely way to use up your free food supplies that you have. Like I said, the biggest expense in learning how to be self-sufficient food-wise is a pressure cooker, pressure canner. So one bag does 3 pint jars. One small bag, what is this? A pound or, I don't know. Yeah, 16 ounces a pound. So you just divide it up. Is that even? Oop, no, that's not even. Try to get it even. Okay. This one might be a little full. Okay, so that's about it. I like to do less than half, but then you have to remember I've got all those onions in there too. So now what you're going to do is boil some water and pour it over the beans up to the line here. So I'll be right back. Okay, just got the water done. I'm going to use my measuring cup to put it in. You can use beef broth too if you want to use beef broth or vegetable broth. Okay. I think it's okay if I just pour it. Oops, no, guess not. Okay, let me make some more water. Okay, so the water's just about done. Turn it off. Finish the jars. I have my seals. I do boil my seals. Some people don't, but I do because it makes the rubber on it a little more receptive to staying on the edge of the jar, the rim of the jar. Now I do reuse some of my seals. If it has anything to do with meat or fish, I do not. But I do reuse some of my seals. Okay, so let me show you. Right here. All of them are there. If you want, oops, sorry guys. Here's my canner. You can either stir them around before you put the seal on, but I like to just put the seal on and then I shake them. I give them a little shake. Before you put the seal on, make sure the rim is dry. There's no little red pepper flakes stuck on the rim. If you've never done this before, you will feel so proud when your beans turn out. So I have this little lid lifter. It's a magnet. Like I said, if there's nothing wrong with the seal, I will reuse it if it has not got any dents in it from when you use the can opener on it to pull it off, or if I have not done meat or fish. I do not use them again if they've had meat or fish on them. I don't like to cross-contaminate like that. Some people don't use their seal, reuse their seals at all. I do. And I used to not reuse them until I had to one day, and everything seemed to be fine. Okay, so now you put your rings on. Not King Kong tight. You want to give it a little room to breathe. Just finger tight. Okay. Now here's another thing I don't do. I don't store them with their rings on. And yes, I stack my jars. I only stack them too high. But it's my house, my pantry, my rules. If you don't like stacking jars, then don't do it. I don't need a nasty comment because I really don't care. And yes, we live in earthquake country, but I can't even tell you the last time we had one. I'm probably jinxing myself, but I do stack my jars 2 at a time. And the other reason I don't put a ring on when they're done and when I'm storing them is that it's easier to see when a seal has popped. Okay, so here we go. So I have my pressure canner. It's a Presto. I've got the water in there. I put a little tablespoon of vinegar in with the water because if not, when the jars are done, I take them out and they look like they have ash from a fire all over them, and the vinegar stops that. Okay, so I'm going to stir it around. See all those spices in there? Just kind of incorporates everything a little bit better. Just going to get everything nice and stirred. You can put jalapeno in here, you know, if you like that. Okay, so now the jars are going in. Now they're going to go in pints. You pressure can for 65 minutes. Quarts, you do 75. So I will be back when these are done. Okay, so I discovered a little discrepancy. With the pints, you pressure can for 75 minutes. That's 1 hour, 15 minutes. Okay? 1 hour, 15 minutes for pints. Okay, the beans are done. You see how thick they got in the jar? And that was just with a ½ cup or less of dry beans. So when you open these beans, if they're a little thick or a little dry, when you put them in the pan to reheat them, just add a little water. That's all they need. But these are perfect, ready to go, full of spices, full of onions. I'm also doing a bunch of black beans. I'm doing the same exact recipe, but the only thing I'm changing is the black bean. So here's the recipe right here, and I will also put it in the comment section. Have a cool day.